this semester coming up. The other thing that we hope to do is maybe for some of you out there, you might be wondering, what is the speech team? Because maybe you're interested in competing. Maybe you like to speak. Maybe you like to argue with people and because you're always right. Or maybe there are some performers out there that like to possibly perform in front of other people using literature and plays and fun things like that. The speech team is always looking for brand new talent. Brand new talent. Sometimes we take people out of Speech 100 classes to tournaments. Our speech team competes once a month throughout the entire school year, both fall and spring. We compete against two-year community colleges as well as the four-year universities. And again, I implore you that after tonight, if you're sitting there thinking, I could do that. That looks like a lot of fun. To please come and see me, Mr. Todd Guy, in Founders Hall, room 260, at any time, so we can talk about possibly getting you on the speech team. We compete on different levels, novice levels, open levels. So you're always competing against people with the same type of experience that you have as well. The speech team here at Modesto Junior College goes back a long way, actually. Back in the 20s, Modesto Junior College was competing in debate against UC Berkeley almost continuously. At one point in time, with the debates, they actually stopped having a final decision as to who won and who lost the debate. And you know why? Because Modesto Junior College was beating UC Berkeley every single time. And now UC Berkeley, I guess they've gotten better, so it's a little bit more difficult for us to beat them every time, but we certainly do still compete against them and at times beat them and beat people like San Francisco State as well. Many of the speech instructors that you have here at Modesto Junior College have been coaches on this team. Dr. Jim Johnson. Can we get a shout out for Dr. Jim Johnson? Yeah. Mr. Alan McKissick, Dr. Charlie Ewing, Dr. Jim Solman, all have been coaches. Charles Mullins is an off and on assistant for me, and so certainly he's a coach of the speech team. Kim Duran works with us and helps our students out. And Barbara Adams is there for all the support that she can bring. So we have a strong speech department here with a strong history. And one of the things that I'm fortunate to have is an individual who is my assistant and works alongside of me and works with the students, goes to the tournaments and judges for us. And so right now what I'd like to do is to... Oh, do I have a phone call? Oh, what do they always say? Make sure that you prepare your technical things. La, 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 la. Is it coming? Oh, this is bad. I'd like to remind all of you that if you have cell phones or pagers or anything that rings at this time, if you will please make sure that you turn them off. And let me introduce my ever competent assistant, Mr. Scott Biederman.
I would like to apologize. I was supposed to call Todd at the right moment, and I didn't hear the right moment, and it should have went a lot smoother than that, as you could see. Not a slacker, thank you. It is my honor to introduce to you the 2007-2008 speech and debate team. This is a group of very talented individuals who are very competent in speaking and in competing at the collegiate level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce each person one by one, and at the end, let's give them a warm welcome, okay? First, I'd like to introduce to you Rebecca Benjamin. She's returned, no, at the end. Man, we're just going to do it once. We want to get out of here at 8:30. So just going to do it once. Rebecca Benjamin. Next, we have John Birdsong. Matt Canjamilla. John Cottrell. Remember, at the end, people. We'll give them a nice warm welcome at the end. Jeff Dauber. Paul Hooper. Danielle Lawson. Angelina Norwood. Inderjet Pahal. Jennifer Ramirez. Raymond Ramirez, no relation. Sarah Rangel and Heather Rayburn. Please give a warm welcome to the 2007-2008 speech and debate team. Thank you.
All right. This year, we go to our first tournament this coming weekend, October 26th through the 28th, up in Concord at Dabble Valley College, where we'll be competing against probably about 18 different community colleges and universities. And so we haven't yet begun our tournament schedule this year, but we will be shortly and running on from there. Last year, your speech team here at Modesto Junior College had 5 individuals that took home national awards from the National Phi Tournament. John Cottrell was a second place in the state of California in Lincoln Douglas one-on-one parliamentary debate. So certainly this team has a reputation for excellence, and that's what we hope to bring to you this evening. Our first speech is a speech that some of you will possibly do within your Speech 100 or 102 classes. It's called an after-dinner speech. And an after-dinner speech can be an informative speech, or it could be a persuasive speech. That doesn't really matter. But what does matter, what is most important within the speech, is that the speech should be designed to include humor. So one of the things that we're hoping is that you will sit back, relax, and hopefully laugh at Mr. Paul Hooper.
How's it going, guys? Can you guys all hear me? Yeah? Before I start, I just want to go over something that my good friend Todd Guy and Coach said. Something about joining the wonderful team that is all of us beautiful people over there. Because it is fun. I was in one of the Speech 100 classes, and Todd came in and said, anyone want to come and debate? And I was like, I like arguing with my parents, so let's do it. So I joined the team, and it's been awesome ever since. Now I'm stuck in these stupid boots, so trust me, it's fun. Join up, all right? Look in the sky, it's a bird. No, it's a plane. No, I'm pretty sure that's a bird. Oh, you're right, that is a bird. Huh. Hey, look over on that park bench, feeding the pigeons. It's ATM Man. Watch out, evil. A new superhero's in town. All That Man. And he could fly. No, he can't really fly. I'm just joking. But he could run really fast. Okay, no, he can't actually run. But he has a really cool car, in which he's able to drive around town and stop evil. Except when it's broken down, then he has to take the super city bus. But no matter what, he will get where he needs to go, because he's good at 2 things: chewing gum and kicking ass. And he's all out of gum. Watch out, ATM is going to come get you, especially if you're a criminal, because he'll calm you with his soothing, sexy voice. Some say that his voice reminds him of the great Barry White. ATM man can talk anyone out of any situation, so don't try and resist. Oh, and ladies, watch out, because when ATM man starts whispering sweet nothings in your ear, the only thing you're going to say is, all that, man, I want you to butter my bread. So watch out, Superman and Batman and that mama's boy, what's his name? Oh yeah, the Hulk. Because dun 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 dun. All that man's here. Now, you probably have a pretty good idea what my speech is on today, right? Yeah, you guessed it. STDs. And their ability to turn that smile of yours upside down. No, I'm just joking with you guys. Today, I'm here to talk about superheroes and their effect on our society. It's true. uwire.com states May 29, 2007, that 72% of U.S. citizens have worn their favorite superhero costume or superheroine costume at least once in their life. I know this because me and my brothers wear our favorite costume every Friday night. We like the way the spandex feels. Now, to try and best understand these silent secret heroes of the night, we will first attack the origins of superheroes. Then we will fly through the essence of a superhero. And lastly, we will uncover the importance of superheroes in our society. But now let's stand up and stop the injustice by attacking my first point, the origins of superheroes. The very first superhero comic book leapt on the scene in June 1938. It was created by Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel. It launched a whole new breed of comic books. The very first superhero was a man who could leap over tall buildings in a single bound and could stop evil and injustice and look damn good doing so. We all know him as Superman. On the eve of World War II, Jerry Siegel realized that America needed this type of superhero. So, Jerry and Joe began writing patriotical themes into their storylines and comics about villains who hit close to home. For instance, Jerry and Joe's second creation, Captain America, was seen on his very first comic book cover, cold-cocking Hitler. And no, cold-cocking does not mean getting hit by a frozen rooster. Superheroes even joined the armed forces in comics and in ads to help recruitment during the war. And always, superheroes were conveniently draped in the colors of red, white, and blue. It's true. Comic book historians attribute the rise in superhero popularity to the classic good versus evil struggle and their adamant assertion that good always triumphs. Scoop magazine states on May 9th, 2006, that the comic books in this era had to show the American people that our troops were superheroes and that we would win the cause. Now, the greatest thing about superheroes is that they've overcome things throughout all times. And they were just seen as normal people that could lift cars, but were willing to help the weak. All Jerry and Joe ever really wanted was to help inspire our troops and show them that they were these superheroes that were willing to stand up and fight evil. So now that we've attacked the origins of superheroes, let's now fly through the essence of a superhero. Now, the first thing a good superhero needs is a costume. Yeah. Now, that costume is what sets you apart from the rest of the normal world. Of course, brightly colored spandex would do that. But just as a warning, don't get the very itchy kind of spandex. It's very, very uncomfortable and it chafes. It does. Now, there are 4 other important aspects to the costume. First, you need a mask to hide your acne. I mean, your identity. Second, you need a cape. I don't actually know what a cape is used for, but it looks cool, so you need one. 3, you need boots, because no superhero can fight crime barefoot. It's a fact. 4th, you need a logo. Every superhero needs their very own chest logo, mostly to help civilians know who to cheer for. As you see here, I have ATM on my chest. And no, I'm not an ATM machine. I had a lady come up the other day and was poking me in the chest and tried to stick a credit card where a credit card should never go. I'm all that man, all right? Now, another important aspect of superheroes is you have to know what your powers are. For instance, my power is the ability to talk. And I get out of it, the way I use my power is the fact that I get out of all my speeding tickets. Now, on the flip side, superheroes have to know their weaknesses. For instance, Superman's weakness is kryptonite. Wolverine's weakness is large magnets. And my weakness, if you guys want to know, is cupcakes. Especially when they have those little sprinkles on them. Those are good. Now, another huge important part about being a superhero is that every superhero has an arch enemy. For instance, Spider-Man has the Green Goblin, the Autobots have the Decepticons, and I have Awkward Man. Now, let me explain. It's a long story, but pretty much me and Awkward Man were college roommates, but he got really jealous because I got all the ladies, because I am all that man. And he just got really awkward, so we've been arch enemies ever since. So that's that story. Now, let's talk about the third and fourth most important thing about being a superhero. Third, never reveal your true identity. So if anyone here tells anyone who I am, I'm going to have to, till your legs stop shaking. Just don't, all right? Just please don't, because I just figured out the coolest name ever, okay? And my mom just finished my costume just the other night, okay? So just don't tell anyone, all right? The fourth most important thing you need to know is to find the right sidekick, because they could come in handy sometimes, and they're good at doing laundry. And another cool thing about being a superhero is finding a love interest. For instance, Superman has Lois Lane, Spider-Man has Mary Jane, Aquaman has the Little Mermaid, and the Hulk has Robin. Yeah. So now that we've flown through the essence of a superhero, let's now uncover the importance of superheroes in our society. From the very beginning, superheroes have brought a certain moral message to their cartoons and comics. As kids, we all watched these superheroes fight off evil, and then at the end would give an awesome message. Like, kids, just remember, we got to help stop the mutilation of Arctic baby seals. And I remember as a kid looking over to my brothers and saying, hey guys, we got to help the seals because Michelangelo, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, said so. A Superhero's Message, an article by Derek Santos, stated that a child's morals consist of what their parents teach them, as well as what they learn on TV and in cartoons. These superheroes are teaching, they taught us and they're teaching the next generation, good or bad, right or wrong. For instance, how we need to help the police and firefighters. It's hard to find role models in our society today, but the role models that have lasted the test of time have been our superheroes. Dr. Lauren Shubin, a psychologist in Michigan, realized that superheroes really could help people mentally. In his book, Superheroes and Counseling and Play Therapy, his patients were struggling with attachment disorders and anger issues. But through Dr. Shubin, he showed them that superheroes could be used as influential role models. So, in times of despair or anger, his patients could say to themselves, WWSD, or what would Superman do? Better yet, they should ask themselves, WWATMD, right? Right? What would all that man do? Nothing? Okay. But seriously, Today's superheroes have transformed into the firefighters and police officers who are willing to risk their lives to save others on that fateful morning of 9/11, as well as Lieutenant Doug Falasai, a firefighter in New York, who said to a local newspaper after saving a young girl's life from a burning building that it was better for him to try and die than to allow the child to burn up. If we could all pay more attention to becoming better role models, maybe then we could become true superheroes. Today, we attacked the origins of superheroes. We then flew through the essence of superheroes. And lastly, we talked about the influential aspect of superheroes in our society. On December 13, 2006, in Liberty, Ohio, a grocery store manager was hit in the head with a 10-pound bag of potatoes. Laugh, it's okay, it's pretty funny. But onlookers watched and did nothing and allowed the 59-year-old woman to escape. So make that effort. Be that role model. Become the superheroes you were supposed to be. And just remember, not everyone looks as good in spandex as I, all that man.
I feel safer after that speech, don't you? Okay. Along with public speaking, we also compete in events called interpretation events. And interpretation events come from different areas. They come from novels, they come from poetry, they come from plays as well. One of the events that we compete in is an event called duo interpretation. And with duo interpretation, basically what you do is you find a play out there and you take cuttings of it because you can't do the whole play. You can only do 10 minutes. But at times, with plays, there are more than 2 characters in most plays, so you might have someone performing more than one character. And so this evening, we're doing a duo interpretation by Danielle Lawson and Heather Rayburn from Lee Blessing's play Eleemosynary, which is a play about 3 women, a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. But again, we only have 2 performers, and so you'll have an opportunity to see one of the actresses take on a double role. And so with that duo interpretation, please give a warm round of applause for Danielle and Heather.
Today I'm going to prove that man, or in this case, woman, can fly without the use of a motor of any kind. You see my daughter Artie wearing the simple pair of wings. First, we will start out with the very steep hill. Then we will move on to the wooden tower. Oh, Mom, it's not working. My grandmother believed that she could fly using only a pair of simple homemade wings and the proper classical training. In 1958, she made a movie of her daughter, my mother, and herself trying it out. I'm not flying. Mom was 15 then. This wasn't the first strange thing Grandma made her do. Never have a daughter. Never have a child for that matter, but never have a daughter. She won't like you. Well, the very steep hill seems not to have done the trick. So, we will move on to the wooden tower. I'm not jumping off this tower. Of course you are, dear. You said this would be safe. It is safe. Look, we've piled up dry leaves. What? You are nuts. And now you are nuts on film. As we grow older, older, we desire to establish our independence.
We desire to move away from our parents.
But when we move away, we must not forget, to detach completely.
And there will come a time when you will have to give back.
Eleemosynary by Lee Blessing. Artie, you can't be pregnant. You can't. You're 18.
Mom, I am.
You're about to go to college.
I can't help that.
Of course you can. You don't have to be.
What? That's illegal.
In this state. But if you go to...
No.
Artie, there is a choice between living your life and someone else's. You only get to make that choice once. And you must choose now.
I waited. A little while anyway. But finally we crossed the state line and I ran away right after that, across 3 state lines. I lied about my age and got a job teaching. I spent my free time delighted not to be around my mother. And at the same time, wondering how she was.
It's small, isn't it?
I came home from teaching one day and found my mom sitting in my room.
I like the view. You can see a steel plant.
You don't have to like it, okay?
You're coming home.
What? On the way home, I crawled out the window of Matt's cafe. I kept moving. I lived in 8 different cities. I used 4 different names. Once, after about 3 years, I called. Mom? And I hung up right after. I moved the next day just in case. A couple of years later, I called again. Mom?
Yes?
You know, I'm all right. I'm gonna have a baby.
Oh, is this your way of telling me you're married?
Yes, his name is Richard.
When's the baby due?
6 months.
I'll come and stay with you.
I don't want you to
Oh, nonsense, Artie. You've got to have your mother around if you're gonna have a baby.
A week later, there she was. 6 months later, when my baby was born, there she was. A month after my daughter Echo was born, my husband Richard died in a car accident.
When my father died, Mom didn't talk for days. That's what Grandma said anyway. I think she really loved him. I always say the dead are the dead and the living are the living.
That's not what you always say, Mother.
Oh, well, that's what I say now. How are we gonna raise this child?
We?
She's bright, isn't she? She speaks Greek a little.
You call chewing on a wing bright.
Let's talk about your work.
Okay, I have a job offer.
Where is it?
Europe.
For how long?
There's no limit.
Well, you're planning to take Echo with you? She'll grow up speaking a foreign language.
She already does.
Moo.
I want you to keep Echo.
Keep her?
For good.
Moo.
I called my mother from Europe once, when Echo was 10.
My mom called. Probably her way for apologizing after running away all the time. Once I became involved with spelling bees, she called more. So, I decided I was going to get my mother to the National Spelling Bee Finals. I wanted her and Grandma to see that no matter what they'd done, no matter how they'd done it, they produced in the end someone that was completely all right.
I don't think I really can, honey.
What?
No, I mean, I really don't think I can.
Mom, if you don't come and congratulate me after I win and say hello to Grandma, then you can forget about talking to me ever again. She came.
Echo looked, well, wonderful. She had no fear at all.
Donsel? That's so easy. Why'd he get it? I know it. Why'd he get it?
I don't know why she was acting this way. She seemed so desperate.
She was frightening is what she was. Oh, Hitler and Mussolini were worse, certainly. But from them, you'd expected it.
I didn't know why she was behaving this way, so competitive.
Dear God, please let me win. All I want is 5 minutes when all the lights are on me and Mom and Grandma see it. He missed it. He missed it. This is it. Eleemosynary. ELEEMOSYNARY.
Oh, congratulations, honey. I'll call soon. We hardly talked for 2 years. Then one morning, my mom had a stroke, so I had to come home.
I once asked Artie what she thought of life. Do you know what she said?
A long apology.
I said, no, Artie, not your life. Life in general. You know, I thought it would be Echo to occupy my thoughts in the last year or two of my life, but to my surprise, it was Artie. Imagine, it was Artie.
We were asleep when she died. The next morning, I began burning everything that was evidence of my mother's eccentricity. I just don't want her to be ridiculed, that's all. People will be coming for the funeral.
Just put these things away then. They won't be looking all through the house.
Of course they will. They inherit things too. Your Uncle Bill is bringing his wife and 2 girls.
Just put it in the garage.
You know, the girls are just a little older than you.
What are we gonna do with Grandma's things?
I don't care. I think you'll like your Uncle Bill. They'd like you to live with them.
What?
They said they'd be very pleased if you went to live with them.
Whose idea was that?
Mine.
What is wrong with me?
Nothing.
Then why do you keep leaving me?
I used to teach you wrong things.
What do you mean?
When you were little, when Dorothea was with you every day, you loved it, of course. The 2 of you got along great. So I taught you wrong things.
Wrong things?
I used to teach you the wrong names for things. I'd point to the floor and say ceiling. I'd point to the door and say window. I began to hope that if I could just retard you a little.
Retard me?
I know that sounds ridiculous, but I was actually angry at you. For picking her. For wanting her more.
I wanted you both. Didn't you love me?
Yes. And no. I planned to go home after a week or 2 of tying things up. But the day before I left, I turned around and...
Hello?
Oh, what are you doing here? Where's your Uncle Bill?
I left them.
Why?
I'm your daughter. I'm a prize among women, and I'm gonna stay with you. I'm going to cultivate you.
What, you think I'm a garden?
Yes. And you need a lot of work.
So we kept the wings and the movie. Echo makes me watch it now and then.
Today I'm going to prove that man, or in this case, woman, can fly without the motor of any kind.
And she made me promise not to leave her.
Eleemosynary. ELEEMOSYNARY. It's my favorite word. Not just because I won with it either. You see, each of us, in our own way, are completely eleemosynary. Charitable, the giving of alms.
Okay, thank you, Heather and Danielle. That was great. Good job. Our next speech tonight is, if all of you are leaving, could you just wait, please? Clearly not. Our next speech tonight is an impromptu speech, and some of you may do this speech in your 100 or 102 class. In debate, what a competitor does is they're given 7 minutes to construct and deliver a speech. So it's a speech without preparation, but it has to be structured and organized just the same as a speech that was prepared. So it's a very difficult speech because it's really an exercise on the ability to think on your feet. Here to give us an impromptu speech tonight is Angelina Norwood. Similar, as if it was a debate competition round, a speaker is given a topic, and typically they take 2 minutes to construct the speech, and they speak for 5 minutes. Typically the person is given a topic on a song, a person, a proverb, and tonight, this is the audience participation moment of tonight. I'm going to ask for 3 things from the audience: a person, an abstract word, a word that has multiple meanings, or a proverb, a witty saying. So, I need a person. Somebody shout out a person. Britney Spears it is. We have Britney Spears. I need an abstract word. What? Ambivalent. Okay, abstract. A proverb or witty saying. Okay, wait a second. Birds of a feather what? Birds of a feather flock together. Okay, so we have here. We have Britney Spears. Ambivalent. Birds of a feather flock together. Okay, Angelina will take about 2 minutes. Over there, she'll write down her topics, and then she'll speak on it for about 5 minutes. So let's give her a round of applause just to really get her into this. Okay, time starts now. Concentration. Ready?
Am I good?
Okay, go ahead.
Oops, she did it again. Now I know you guys saw that one coming, right? Britney Spears is probably the most well-known, not for her music, not for her dancing, but for her flubs in the public eye. We all know that she's been out driving with her baby on her lap. We all know that she's known as the most popular party girl mother of our generation. But really, what's behind all that? We don't know. In America today, we seem to have turned our eye towards celebrity realms. We don't look at celebrities today as American royalty. We look at them as something to laugh at. We use their life as a form of entertainment. We put them in a cage and we tell them to dance. We tell them to sing. We tell them to entertain us by living. Is this really fair? Not so much. So today when we think about Britney Spears, we don't think about the struggles that she's gone through. We don't think about her talent. We don't think about her skills. We think about all the ways that we can laugh at her. At the recent MTV Awards, the biggest highlight wasn't the fact that Britney Spears just had a child and was coming back. The biggest highlight was the fact that, well, she was still a little bit chunky. Well, she didn't dance so well. So what we're really saying, what we're really telling to our society and to our children is that people can be made a mockery regardless of their accomplishments. So today when we think about Britney Spears, We're going to evaluate the effects of watching her life as entertainment. We're going to look at the ramifications of this action that we as American society feel is okay. And we're also going to look at what we can do to change this mindset that's corrupting our society as a whole. So first, let's talk about the effects of watching Britney's life come tumbling down. As we know, Britney Spears recently had her kids taken away and given custody to her ex-husband, Kevin Federline. So really, what we can see here is that as we're all laughing, as we're all saying, man, well, that's what she gets, we can really see that it's easier to judge than to be judged. It's easy to forget that these are human beings as well. Speaking of human beings, we can even look back to Chris Crocker. Everybody knows him from YouTube, the man who pleaded to leave Britney alone. So even when we look at Chris Crocker, we can still see even he got something out of it. Even he exploited Britney Spears because, as we all know, Chris Crocker has come up and is now getting a TV reality show of his own. So Britney's life hasn't become something that she lives. It's become something that everybody lives through her. People's lives are not for our entertainment. This should be taken seriously. If her children were in danger, we should all be concerned. And we should all be ashamed of ourselves for just looking on and watching these children suffer or watching her life come crumbling down just so that we can crack a smile. Second, let's talk about the ramifications of doing so. When thinking about Britney Spears, when thinking about her impact on our society, when thinking about all the trauma that she's gone through in this past year, only one person comes to mind, and that's Anna Nicole Smith. Anna Nicole Smith recently died. She left a child behind, a newborn baby. So throughout Anna Nicole's life, she was subject to public ridicule. She was talked about, laughed at. When she got fat, oh my God, she was a blimp. When she got skinny, she's on drugs. Anna Nicole Smith died, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to think back and say, somebody should have helped her. She was a good person. Why is it that American society, one of the greatest societies in the world, can sit back and laugh as somebody is going through trauma, when somebody is going through a turmoil? People, it is not our position to sit back and judge. It is always easier to judge than to be judged, but it is not the right thing to do. So when we think about Anna Nicole Smith, we can also look at Lindsay Lohan. Anna Nicole Smith was a ramification of sitting back, laughing, and watching and doing nothing. Now we have Lindsay Lohan. She's a young woman. If the proverb is held true that birds of a feather flock together, then we need to flock together and pull together and realize that Lindsay Lohan's life is going down the drain too. And until we stop seeing celebrities as just another way of entertaining ourselves and standing up and saying she needs help, we will not change this mindset. So with that, let's evaluate what we can do to change this horrible practice. What we can do is we can speak up. Stop tuning in. Stop buying those magazines that have Britney's face plastered all over the front cover. Stop tuning into YouTubes to watch her blunders over and over again. Your voice is worth something when you send a message to the media that says, stop, we will not tolerate it. Do not exploit her. Do not exploit her children. Stand up as an American people and take that step forward. Take the initiative to say this is not acceptable in this day of age. Martin Luther King once said that injustice everywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There's a major injustice going on. We need to stand up, we need to stop it, because Britney Spears' life is not ours to hold as entertainment. Thank you.
Our final individual event before we get into the debate for this evening is a persuasive speech, which certainly is a speech that every single one of you in here will probably be doing within your classes. A 100 or a 102 class certainly has the requirement for persuasion. And in 107, the debate class, the speeches you give consistently within that class are persuasive speeches. The young lady who will be doing the persuasive speech for you this evening came onto the team in January of 2007, and by April 14th, She took 3rd place in the nation in informative speaking. So giving you her persuasive speech for this year is Rebecca Benjamin.
Good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Super. All right, well, I'd like to first start off by thanking you all for taking the time out to come out and join us in this event. Just wanted to give you a rough idea of when we actually do go out in competitive tournaments, we only speak in front of an audience of roughly 6 to 7 people max. So if some of you are sitting there thinking, wow, how do these people stand here and talk in front of 1,200 people? Aren't they nervous? Trust me, we're on the same page with you guys. So hopefully we'll take this and run with it and see that everybody can do this, no matter what class you're in, speech class, if it's a persuasive, an impromptu, or even a debate. Just do it, because it's a breeze. You're not in front of 1,200 people, and nerves are the best feeling. Let's get started. First, they tell us cell phones cause brain cancer. Then they blame automobile accidents on cell phone use. Now, they tell us that honeybee colonies are vanishing due to the radiation given off by cell phones. What will they come up with next? According to a London newspaper, The Independent, September 7th of 2007, researchers theorized that the radiation given off by cell phones may be affecting the bees' internal navigation systems. This may explain why these winged workers are unable to find their way back to their hives in time for pollination season. Further investigation must be done to cure the extinction of honeybee colonies. In order to cure this problem, we must first understand the significance of honeybees. Then, we can buzz around various causes that endanger them, and finally, we can pollinate a few solutions that will help put an end to this mystery. We will first begin by understanding the significance of honeybees in our society. An article in The Economist, A Sticky Ending, Dying Bees, from September 8th of 2007, states that researchers have identified the first tangible clue in the mystery of dying honeybees. They blame this on a relatively new virus. Today, the extinction of dying honeybees is referred to as colony collapse disorder, or CCD. CCD became widespread in the winter of 2006 and 2007, when a quarter of the nation's beekeepers were affected after losing between 30 to 90% of their winged workers. CCD is not another environmental parade. Problems have and will continue to increase rapidly for beekeepers, farmers, as well as costly problems for consumers. CCD is not a minor problem in the United States alone. According to the LA Times, June 10th of 2007, CCD has been reported in 35 US states, 5 Canadian provinces, and several European countries. The die-off of these honeybees has cost US beekeepers about $150 million in losses. Nicholas Calderon, professor of entomology of Cornell University, estimates in an article from May 2nd of 2007 that honeybees add approximately $8 to $12 billion worth of value to agricultural crops each year. As we may already know, a ton of crops that we need in our daily diets rely on the pollination of honeybees. Such crops include peaches, pears, pumpkins, carrots, broccoli, squash, kiwi, plums, cherries, melons, apples, almonds, and the entire berry family, just to name a few. Could you imagine living without any of these crops? Poor or incomplete pollination would shrink farmers' yields and increase the cost on consumers on these fruits and vegetables. Not to mention, the fruit would grow very small and only be suitable for low profits. To avoid this from happening, farmers have been scrambling to find bees from across the world in order to pollinate their crops this year alone. To top things off, the LA Times, April 26th of 2007, tells us that honeybees are almost extinct in California. If we're losing so many bees at such a high rate, what will make up for significant losses? Clearly, the only answer to this question is an increased reliance and dependence on foreign sources of food. This would increase the cost of fruits and vegetables dramatically on consumers. Our dependence on foreign sources of food would become bad news for the world's queen bee. Who would have thought that such a tiny little creature would have such a tremendous effect on such a large society of humans? Now that we understand the significance of honeybees, let's buzz around various causes that endanger them. The most obvious contributors to dying honeybees are, you guessed it, humans. Most of us either don't know it or just don't care. In a political cartoon from the Modesto Bee, September 7th of 2007, a father tells his son it's time they had a talk about the birds and the bees. The only response from the son is a confused, "What's a bee?" The creator of this cartoon, David Horsey, implies that if honeybees are not protected, generations to come may not even know what a bee is. Clearly, we need to educate our children and adults the value of honeybees on agriculture. The earliest reports of CCD date back to 2004, which is the same year that Israeli acute virus was first described by Israeli virologist Elan Sella. In addition, 2004 was the same year that heavy exports of hives were first brought into the U.S. in order to help farmers grow enough crops to supply such high consumer demands. In a Modesto Bee article titled "Is It Bee Flu?" from September 7th of 2007, Israeli acute virus became greater widespread throughout the U.S. with the help of varroa mites. These mites are more susceptible to the virus, so when they enter the beehives, they contaminate all of the bees within it. This virus causes bees to shiver and their bodies become frozen and die. In an Economist article from September 8th of 2007, the mites weaken the immune system of honeybees, so this makes the infection more likely to be fatal. There is yet another virus that has been deemed the killer of honeybee colonies. Currently, researchers do not have enough information on this virus or know where it's coming from. What we do know is that this virus causes the bees to lose their way back to their hives in time for pollination season. The previously cited Professor Calderon explains that our understanding of this current phenomenon is in its infancy. As further research and studies are conducted, more information and facts will become available, and we will better understand what is depleting the number of our winged workers. Agricultural Research Journal Online, last accessed September 13th of 2007, explains that over the years, scientists have seen changes in the diseases and pests that threaten honeybee colonies. There have been trends, however, what we are dealing with today seems to be a bit of an unexplained mystery. Another great contributor to honeybees is the excessive use of pesticides. On Earth Journal, spring 2007, explains that a group of powerful citrus growers are trying to pass a bill through the California state legislature to eliminate large areas of land that have been used as bee pastures for generations. Their main purpose is to increase the use of pesticides on these areas of land during periods of citrus bloom. If passed, this bill will not only be harmful, but detrimental to honeybee colonies due to the fact that the extinction is largely caused by pesticide use. Now that we know what endangers these honeybee colonies, let's pollinate a few solutions that will help put an end to this mystery. Further research is the key to determining what this mysterious virus is that's depleting our honeybee colonies. Just like global warming, a problem can be solved if it is attended to and enough people work together. are several coalitions and organizations out there dedicated to protecting honeybee colonies, yet more can and still needs to be done. A solution that will greatly minimize this problem is to convince conventional farmers to use fewer pesticides. Yes, this may be a bit of a challenge unless we conduct further research and studies to find new methods of pest control which are overall safer to use. Author Kim Kaplan of the United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, explains that the USDA has begun a research action plan that will help investigate these mysterious die-offs of these honeybee colonies. For more details, the full plan can be found on the USDA's organizational website, updated daily. In order to delve deeper into this research, there must be an increase in funding. You may be asking, well, how much funding is needed? For such a detrimental problem, an exact number cannot be provided. We need to come up with as much funding as we possibly can in order to contribute to enough research to get to the bottom of this problem. According to Science Daily Online, April 23rd of 2007, the National Honey Board organization has pledged $13,000 of emergency funding to the CCD working group to further investigate this die-off. Unfortunately, this amount is not enough. For that reason, the Florida State Beekeepers Association is actively working with their membership to commit additional funds to help investigate and come up with an answer to this crisis. For those of you who are wondering, well, what can I do to help here? Donations are accepted to coalitions and in most cases can be used as tax write-offs. In addition, we can all work together to try to pass a bill through the California State Legislature to increase the funding on honeybee research. A major way for humans to help is to simply be friendlier. Did you know that a human can survive anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 stings? Even someone who is allergic will not die instantly if they obtain proper medical treatment. On average, most people have a phobia and spaz frantically when a bee buzzes past their picnic table. Instead of swatting at them or smashing them, simply catch them in a bag or a cup and release them several feet away. As long as a bee does not feel threatened or tampered with, they will not harm anyone. In addition, the public must be made aware of the difference between yellow jackets, killer bees, bumblebees, versus the harmless yet significant honeybees. And one last thing that we can all do to help this problem is to help derail the farmer's bill from passing through the state legislature. This can simply be done by voicing our opinions and voting against an increase of pesticide use. Today, we gained a better understanding of honeybee colonies. We also buzzed around various causes, and finally, we pollinated several solutions, some of which even you can do to help. Clearly, we see that further investigation must be done in order to cure the extinction of honeybee colonies. So maybe cell phones do cause brain cancer, and they definitely go hand in hand with the number of automobile accidents. But whether or not the radiation given off by cell phones is depleting the number of our honeybees, we may never truly know without further investigation.
So our final performance for you this evening is the parliamentary debate. And in parliamentary debate, what happens is usually everyone gets up and leaves. And then 4 people sit down in front of one judge and they do a debate. But parliamentary debate is a debate where you use no specific evidence. You only use common knowledge. And so what happens at tournaments is that 20 minutes before two teams are about to debate each other, they get the topic. And they then have 20 minutes to prepare their speeches for that topic. This evening, to make sure that we give you a good, strong image of parliamentary debate, we have planned the topic a little bit more than the 20 minutes to give these students a little bit more time to think about their arguments and plan their organization. But at a tournament, they only get those 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, the debate begins. Now, the other interesting thing about parliamentary debate is that it is audience-centered as well, because certainly it is off of the British Parliament, and in the British Parliament, as an audience, if you hear something you don't like, you hiss. Or you say, shame, shame. That's good. That's good. If you hear an argument you like, then you should stamp your feet. Or you say, hear, hear. And so during this debate, if you are so moved, please feel free to do that. And the debaters will adapt to you. So, for your viewing pleasure, these four individuals will be debating the topic that this House believes that we should reinstate the draft.
Shame, shame. Shame, shame.
Geez, I haven't even started yet. Just think, folks, you got 25 more minutes that I control. Let us begin. We're here under today, the resolution is stated. This House believes that we should reinstate the draft. First, we're going to go off with some definitions, that way we all know where we're going, and then follow on with this plan. First off, this House, the United States federal government, feels that is right. Should is defining an action, reinstate to bring back, and the draft, the active enrollment of citizens into the armed service through government regulations. This obviously is a policy plan, thus we were going to be placing the criteria of cost-benefit analysis. That way we can see what exactly we're putting on the line and what exactly are the benefits, and that's the weighing factor that we look at today's debate. First, let's go on to significance and harms. First off, we have troop numbers are on an all-time low. We have not reached troop allotment for over 30 years. Since the time of Vietnam, we've seen an overall decline in troops' involvement in basically going in to enlist in the Army because there's been no active draft. There's been no force of control. There's been nothing. What we see from this is it decreases the strength of our armed forces. With a decreasing strength, we see a decrease in our national security. If we can't necessarily go out and fight a war, we cannot protect our own country. If we don't even have enough troops to go out and take care of things, what's to say we can't protect ourselves here on the home front? We just can't. Second on that is a lower troop number actually causes an increase in death. If we have troop allotments of, say, groups of 2 going out to fight a war, it's a lot less ineffective as, say, groups of 5. But because we're so low on numbers and manpower, we're forced to stay under this, like, groups of 2. Go ahead.
Can you repeat the definition for me really quick?
Which one?
All of it really quick.
Okay, this House was the United States federal government feels that is right, should, defining the action, reinstate to bring back the draft as the active enrollment of citizens into the armed service through government regulations. Okay, going on to inherency, or basically what's stopping this. Currently right now, we see kind of a problem within the government itself being so split that the ideal of a draft is basically not an option. Not only that, but we have attitudinal problems here. People have the concept that a draft equals death. Basically that if you go into the Army, you're going to die, which is falsely understood as not being right. So let's go on to the plan of what we can do today. First, we have the plan. The agent of action, no thank you, not at this time. The agent of action today will be Congress, since they'll be enacting this plan. The enforcement with the United States federal government. The time frame, December 31st, 2009. 2008, excuse me. The financing would be normal means since we're only enacting a plan. Our mandates. First, able-bodied citizens of ages 18 to 35 will be required to enlist into one of the branches of military service for up to 3 years. 1 year being training, 2 year being active involvement. Now, this will be done through a lottery system, random assignment, not just basically picking out who we feel. Next would be our certain exclusionary rules we have to this plan, obviously. First off being the able-bodied citizens. Obviously no one pregnant or any kind of injuries would be allowed into this draft system. Not only that, but students serving a full time, since we can't really get rid of our student population if we want to see a structured army. Not only that, but see, only one member of a family unit can be involved as well. Say a group of a mother and father, only one person of that group can be taken. That way we're not separating families. Going on to basically an explanation on this is that everyone has the idea that the army is basically around death, which is not true. The fact is that it doesn't have to be fighting. You all know this. There are other things than just infantry. There are engineers, technicians, scientists within the army itself. These must be looked at first if we have a structured army. Our solvency today is how we do this. We see a dramatic increase in troops. With a dramatic increase in troops, we see a stronger United States. Our advantages today is we see an increase in our homeland security. Obviously, if we have more people defending our country, we have better security us. We protect ourselves. Not only is it our army, but it's our citizens themselves standing up and fighting for what they believe in. Lastly is a stronger sense of America. We have people involved with what they're doing because they know now that they're going to be directly affected. For these reasons, we urge a government vote.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. We'll now stand open for a 4-minute speech from the Leader of the Opposition.
Hey everybody, just like to welcome you to the Angelina Show, so let's get this party started. All right, first of all, we have some definitions going on. We have the United States federal government feels it is right that we should take the action to bring back active enrollment of civilian or of American citizens. He defined this round as a policy, but I'm kind of stuck on that word believes. Because as far as I'm concerned, the American population believes that we should be pulling out from Iraq right about now. With that said, let's go through case. Now, first thing that we have to examine here is he's talking about that we have a decrease in troop levels, and this has been occurring since after the Vietnam War. Could it be because after the Vietnam War, which really wasn't a war, we lost faith in our government? Just a little bit. Yeah, I'll take your first point of information.
So where in the government's plan did it actually dictate anything revolving around war itself, such as Iraq?
Well, see, there's a difference between a draft and conscription. Conscription is enrolling and drafting is going to war. So you actually define that for us. So with that said, he's also stating, or the government team advocates, that there's a decrease in strength and there's a decrease in national security. So taking away American boys from the ages of 18 to 35 is supposed to somehow increase our national security when they're forced to fight in a war that they didn't believe in the first place? You cannot, in this country, force people to fight for several reasons, which will go on in our opposition case. Now, the attitudinal inherency he brought up is that the draft equals death. You don't go to war to live. Also, he states that, he has the technicalities. He has the agent of action as Congress, the enforcement of, who's the enforcement?
U.S. federal government.
United States federal government, which I always thought that Congress was a part of the United States federal government, but whatever. Also, he wants this to happen by 2008. See, here's where I have a problem with this. Are our troops still going to be there until 2008? I thought we were trying to pull them out. I think that it would be better if we worked on some sort of exit plan rather than trying to figure out how to put more people there.
Here.
Now, speaking of 2008, trying to enlist a draft by 2008, that's going to do is bring up some kind of arms race. I believe it was Albert Einstein who said that one cannot simultaneously prepare for war and expect peace. So what is the government team advocating here? Are they advocating that by building up these arms we plan on going in for the long haul, or are they planning on getting this job done and getting out? So until they can answer these questions, we really can't see why this need of troops. Why do we need more troops in Iraq, especially when we're trying to get them out? So until they can explain this to us, they really have no solvency because we don't know what they're advocating for. Do they want to perpetuate the war? Why do we need these troops? Just because numbers are low? Why? Why do we need more? Are we still going to be in there fighting until after 2008? Because we're signing them up for 3 to 5 years. And it is a well-known fact that enlistees are the most hard-fighting troops that we have. You cannot expect a loyalty from people who did not want to be there in the first place. So for these reasons, vote for opposition.
Thank you very much, Leader of Opposition. And now for a 4-minute speech, the Member of Government, Ms. Jennifer Ramirez.
Hi. Okay, I'm just gonna go off case and then I'm gonna go on case. We defined, believes, feels it's to be right, we defined it as so. And also, the draft, we defined it as the active enrollment of citizens into the armed service through government regulations. We did not in any way define it as conscription, so this doesn't fall because we defined the word draft. So, they talked about the boys going out to war to die, but in fact, we were not talking about Iraq. In any of our points, we did not talk about sending the people that we enlist. We are not sending them off to war. We need more people because we are putting these well-trained soldiers, we're putting them into these other jobs that really don't need much training, and we need them out there because they have more training. The ones that are already in there that have all the training, we need them out there doing their job. This is why we need the draft. We don't have enough people working these lower jobs. I will take your first point.
So what you're saying is that more people dying is better than less people, with less people dying? What are you trying to say?
I don't really understand how. No, my partner said that we need more people because we don't have enough well-trained soldiers to be fighting where they're needed. We have them working these other jobs, not at this moment. We have them working these other jobs because we don't have enough people. That is what my partner is saying. We're not going to send the people that are drafted out to war. We never in our plan stated that, and in many of the points, Iraq was talked about. Not at this moment. Let me get through this. Also, my partner never said that war equals death. He was just stating that we need more people because everybody has a mentality that when we draft people, we're going to send them out to war and they're going to die. That's what he was referring to, and we are saying that that is not so. I will give you second question.
If you're not drafting them for war, what are you going to do with them?
We are drafting them. We don't need the military just for war. We need them for many other parts. We have them in many other places besides Iraq, and we need them there. We don't just need them in the war. So that is what we are talking about. We need people because we have nobody enlisting. We need to send them out there because they need to protect other parts of the world as well. We're not just sending them to war. And then the opposition had a problem with our time frame. They said that the troops will still be there in Iraq by 2008 because, but we're not talking about Iraq, like I said. We're just talking about we need more people to work in other jobs so the well-trained soldiers could go out there and do the job that they were prepared for. And we are going to train the other people for lower jobs. Yes.
Time has expired.
So
no question, time has expired.
And we are not preparing for an arms race. We just need more people because we don't have enough. We are paying enlistees so much money just so they'll join, and we're wasting so much money just to recruit more people. With the draft, this would be eliminated, and we could pay our generals more for them to lead, and we need them there. And again, they talked about the war, why do we need more troops? We don't need them in just war, we need them in other places, like I stated. And they also said that they're there for 3 to 5 years, but as my partner stated in his plan, it was 3 years only, 1 year of training, 2 years of active enrollment, so they're gonna be out. And like I said, they will be there to help the well-trained soldiers who will be out there doing the job that they were trained to do.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
And now we will hear a 4-minute speech from our member of the opposition, Mr. Paul Hooper.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys are here and you weren't forced, so that's the good thing. That's a good thing. All right. First off, I'm going to get right on to a blanket of thank yous to everyone, coaches, everyone here. Thank you for being here. We're going to go right on to onto their idea of a case and why the opposition team today is winning. First off, they go through definitions and say that believe, they skip it by and say that it feels right. But is that not a value? Is that not some sort of believing in something, believing that the draft is something? They just say that it should happen, that something should happen. They completely bypass this and say, well, we defined it, so thus it's correct. I find that to be completely wrong. Next, we're going to go on to their harms. They say that we're decreasing in national security. I'm not seeing that right now. I'm not seeing attacks on us every day. Where is this security that we're not being protected? Where is it? I'm not seeing this. Okay, go ahead, real quick.
But wouldn't you say by actively doing this draft, we would have more people to be protecting our country?
Okay, well, let me get on to that point. What on our soil what on American soil do we need right now? Where are the soldiers going to sit around at bases and eat food and just sit there and talk to each other? There's nothing going on right now that we need this security. Okay, I can't take it right now. Hold on one second. We're going to go right into the fact that they stated that there's an attitudinal inherency, the fact that draft equals death. Well, we need to look back at the fact when they talk about trained soldiers and how trained these people are. Let me give you an example of a war called Vietnam, okay? My father served in Vietnam, and in fact, they were not trained soldiers. They gave them 6 months, maybe, to train to go fight and kill other people. Is that enough training? I think not. So by saying that these draftees will be trained enough to go fight and kill other people, and saying that these soldiers will totally be ready, is wrong. Completely wrong. And the fact that the draft, we just need a draft. We just need these people, these students like us, these 18-year-olds who just graduated high school, to get put in a draft. They're just saying we need it by 2008. For what? For what? For a war. You do drafts for wars. You don't do drafts just because you feel like doing a draft. Drafts are important if we are under attack, if we're in a war that we cannot win, and we need U.S. soldiers to help fight and win a war. Go on.
If we're not under attack, what was 9/11?
Okay. I will hit that. You're right. That was a bad, horrible attack, and there's nothing bad that we could say about that. But the fact is, we went to war. We now have 150,000 some odd soldiers over there fighting for our country now. Why do we need more than that? How is that going to affect anything when we stood up and said, no, we will not be attacked on our soil because we do have homeland security? Now to move on, they say in their plan, there's a whole bunch of gaps in their plan. For 2008, there's no way that could be done by that soon, and there's no money to fund this. Where are we going to have the money to fund boot camps, to fund the finances for clothing, all that stuff to get our soldiers over there? The point is that the war is calming down. Peace is starting to reappear in the Middle East. We do not need more people over there. We need to decrease in our troops, and that is why you should vote for the opposition today. Thank you very much.
And now we will hear a 3-minute rebuttal by the leader of the opposition explaining why you should support the opposition side.
All right, everybody, let's close this mother down. Now, first thing on the list here is that basically the only argument coming from the government team is that they never stated that we were talking about putting these draftees in Iraq. Now, the one problem we have with that is that there is a difference between conscription and a draft. Conscription is when males ages of 18 sign up for the draft lottery. Now, once it actually gets to the point of having a draft, then yes, they are sent to war. The word draft means that you have been taken up and put in a war. So in the fact that they say they were never planning on sending them to Iraq is a complete fallacy, because once you have a draft, you are in a war. Now, we can also see a problem in the government's case, because they're saying that they're assuming that their inherency here is that draft equals death. And as I brought up, you don't go to war to live. You go to war to lay your life down for a cause that you believe in. And whose right is it to pick someone up out of their home, out of their land, and tell them you will fight this war whether you like it or not?
Hear, 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 hear.
Another reason you're going to be voting for the opposition here today is because they're claiming that what they're going to do is they're going to draft these soldiers, and as I've already pointed out, drafting means you're going to war. So they're telling these soldiers you're going to go to war, but then they're telling us, the audience and the opposition team, that no, they're not going to war. They're going to stay here. They're going to help out. Well, you know what? They're saying that there are jobs that need to be filled by the government. There are jobs that need to be filled by able-bodied men in our economy. There are jobs all across this nation that need these able-bodied men. So whose authority is it to say that we're not only going to tell you that you don't have the freedom to fight or die for what you want, but you also don't have the freedom to live for what you want? Because, oh no, according to the government, we're not sending them to war. Now, the last reason you're going to vote for opposition here today is because they're also claiming that we're going to train these soldiers for 3 to 5 years before we send them off to war. Now, I challenge you. Think at our economic situation right now. We cannot fund the soldiers that we have at this point. We are sending these soldiers out there in unarmored vehicles, and they want to sit here and dream up some money that they can't even allocate in their plan for training camps? I don't think so. They are setting American citizens, American soldiers up for failure. Vote for opposition.
And now for the final speech, 3-minute rebuttal by the Prime Minister, letting us know why we should vote for the government.
Simmer down. All right, first off, we're just going to go off of what the opposition said, then go on to why we feel that we must initiate this draft in order to protect our country. First off, let's go on the definitions. They keep hearing this define of, well, draft is this. Did we not define draft as how we felt necessary? We defined it as the active enrollment of military. We defined it. Going on to, which I find quite funny, never once have we said young men. We said able-bodied citizens. I find this kind of weird that we keep hearing men. What about our able-bodied women? This is not just something that needs to be looked one way or another. This is everyone.
Point of order.
Okay. Also going on, there was this common misconception of the 3 to 5. It was only 3. That just as a clarification. On the money, we're putting monetary value on the lives of our country. You're saying that we don't want to spend the money to protect our country. How are we supposed to see this? We don't want to spend the money, but we're okay to let them die on when you're just sitting at home, like 9/11? What about instances like that? You're putting dollar signs on lives. Going on to our points today, we have the day of what we've been talking about the entire time. Soldiers are dying because of lack of troops. If we have situations like Iraq, maybe that's why it's been strung out so far. But the issue here is the fact that there is so little troops that we can't control war situations or even peacetime situations because there's no one out there. Also going on to the second point, which is the plan itself. The plan has all points and shows exactly what we're doing. But lastly, I want to speak specifically on solvency. We're looking here at protecting not only our soldiers themselves, but protecting our citizens. Going on the point of American standards, are we not... I would like to make this final address here. Are we not wanting to protect our freedom by sacrificing our people to protect what we stand for? If we're just standing out and letting people not do anything, then we are not protecting what we originally thought as the American dream. So what we see here is an entire case We can go with what the opposition believes, saying that only war equals death. We don't fight a war thinking everyone's gonna die. We fight a war because we think we're gonna win. We're trying to prove our point. If I remember right, the Iraq War wasn't to send people to die, it was to bring democracy to a country that was under tyranny. How is this not war equals death? This falls straight under the inherent barrier that we have here, this ideology that war equals death. You have two ideas today. We have the opposition idea that our army is a death machine, only made to kill people. And you have the government that wishes to not only protect our soldiers out currently right now fighting the good fight, but also protect ourselves at the home front. By protecting ourselves at the home front, we can prevent such things such as 9/11, which was a direct attack on us. If we have a stronger government, we have a stronger country. This is why we must look for a government ballot. This is why, and we feel we must protect our liberty.
Thank you all for coming. Have a great evening. Drive safely.